Hello, so I already apologize in advance as I made a previous video of this and there seems to have been an audio problem. I'm just gonna redo it. So this is a video to talk about the unique stones in Soccer Spirits. So the first thing you need to know that there are certain unique stones, actually three of them, who have bonuses that are not gonna affect only the player, but they're gonna affect the line or the entire team. So these are what I'm going to consider the strongest stones of them all. So I'm going to start with Andor, who has what I consider three good stone and one bad stone. So the very first one is the best stone for strikers of decent critical rates. For example, Vonchi. This stone is going to increase critical rate and it's going to increase attack power for critical hit. So again, strikers are good with this, utility players, striker style are good with this, and people with super play are going to do extraordinarily well with this. So really, strikers, super play, those are the people you're going to be giving this to. Then we have the Blazing Essence. Increase attack power and critical rate for a stone that's actually extremely weak. So I honestly wouldn't say it's worth it. You can find basically those value in passives and other stone. A good dribble stone might even do much better than this entire stone. So I wouldn't say using your one unique option for that one is a smart idea. Then we have the Ignition Catalyst. There are two uses for it. Either you put it in front line on a passer. The idea is that when the ball goes front, that passer will have more starting action bar. So the first time you'll be able to do an active pass to your striker, and if you got a one-hit KO system, it might allow you to just shoot before they can ever do anything. The second nice thing is this is an entire team buffing stone. It is going to increase the entire pass effect of the team. So that's something just great, meaning you can also throw it in a backline on something like a healer or a stealer. The first example that comes to my mind is Virgil. I used to have him on using the stone, but I got a better stone, who I'm going to point out right here, who is Endless Burning Matter. So this is a second stone of the three stones who has a special effect. This one affects an entire position. So this one can be used in two places, in front and backline. In backline, the reason you're using this is because it's going to be decreasing attack power of enemies within the position, so it's going to render strikers weaker, and increasing damage at the enemies with the same position received is just a basically nice thing to get out of there. And on a striker level, and you're not going to be giving it to the striker, giving it always to the assist. The best one, of course, being Yuri for this, is going to allow you to just give them more damage. And a bonus is that they have less attack to get out. So again, depending on where you're placing it, there's one of the two stats you care the most about, but since they level up exactly the same, it's really one of the best all-around stones. I have them on my Virgil. I've noticed it's made a really big difference in my backline. Now the thing is, for all of these stones that have line, buff, some kind of effect that affects more than one player, you can't stack their effects. So no, you cannot have 5 of these in backline and negate basically all the damage. Believe me, I wish I could. Now, I want to talk to you about the Featherstone. So I'm going to say, honestly, I feel like they kind of really lost, especially on the goalkeeper level. I kind of feel bad for them. So the first one is Shaking Heart of Thunder. Increase critical damage and critical rates. So for anyone who wants to do some high critical damage but who doesn't have critical damage built in, this is a great stone. So this is usually going to be given to a bunch of strikers, a few players of high critical damage. For example, Cynthia may be capable of using this. It's a very decent stone, but striker is really where you're going to see it the most. Now we have the Gladaris. It's a penetration stone. I'm not a great fan of it, but I know that sometimes in frontline it's been used on the striker when they have other decent stats, just so you don't need to invest anything in penetration power. It's going to cap out around 50%, so that's around half the bar in just one stone, and that's not even counting its passives. it could basically on its own go to 70% of penetration. The next one is the Goalkeeper Stone, who out of the 3 Goalkeeper Stones is basically the worst. It recovers hype when attacked, so in PvP it's useless and the value is so low that any other goalkeeper with recovery has a higher value by base, making this obsolete. It's going to increase critical resistance. I mean, that's nice, but we know 1,000 stones who can do that, and they don't need to be the unique of your player. This is the last line buffing stone. So again, between Andor and Thunder, they have all of them, who's kind of annoying for people of other elements. So it's going to increase pass effect, increase critical damage within the position. So this stone can only be used on a passer in a front line where you're trying to boost critical damage. So one of the ones I'm going to say is best for him, this is going to be Balteon, or some sort of maybe Luca trying to pass to some sort of Leviator, something like that is where you're going to be sticking on. So Luca, Balteon, or the 1 and 2 player you're going to usually see this on. Now I'm going to talk about the Whirlwind. So they actually have some pretty nice stone, and some of them kind of got buffed with the co-op option. So it's actually they've actually been getting better. So the first one is increased pass effect, recover spirit with a pass. This is basically the Scylla stone. The pass effect is just high, so that's nice. And recovering spirit allows you to use an active pass and your striker to use an active shot without feeling like you're going to be missing spirits. So this is again a passer stone. We have Earth's Cry, who since the co-op patch has actually become much more powerful. Decrease the inflicted damage by 11% for each target of an attack, increase attack power. The actual magical part about this is when you're going to be hitting a free mid co-op or something like that, and you're penetrating, you're going to be taking no damage. In your attack power, yes, maybe it's going to be divided among them, but they're all going to take a pretty serious beating. So it's countering the fact that there's co-op on the other side, allowing you to basically damage them all as much. Then this is what I'm going to describe as the best goalkeeper stone. So again, if you got Jin, if you got Black Tortoise, this is a great stone. It's going to decrease inflicted damage. It's going to increase critical resistance. I mean, there's nothing that we can't love about this stone. It even has a cool art. And now, Ancient Storm. We're starting to go towards the action bar based stones. I know that Ignition Catalyst was action bar, but it was start only. This will be on every attack. So it's going to increase your speed, making you fast, and it's going to recover on an attack. Well, usually you're going to use this on attacker or leader types who have some sort of ability who's going to affect this. If you could, but Milky Way has a better option. Again, a line where there's already a Jeunesse is interesting. Anything where you can already really salvage the fact that you have some action bar. And giving this to players who have some actives or passives that stack or something like that is really great. I mean, even Princess Miriam could use something like that. It's pretty nice. Now let's go to the light and dark, the elements that I basically run. Paradise of Light. The light stone who for some magical reason you're always going to end up getting. We feel like something went wrong in the drop rate when you're trying to combine them. I mean, I even got 2 from Evolution. It's to tell you that is one common damn stone. So the first stat is literally the worst stat I've seen on any stone in the game. At max out it's going to be 100%, so increase game reward XP by 100%. It's only on the player, so if you're trying to level them, it's pretty nice, but once you've leveled them, there's no point. That's going to increase max hype and attack power by 35%. So on backline, this can be interesting, and a lot of players have high base skills. For example, Leah, Hercules, there's a few of them who are going to be able to take a huge advantage of what this stone can do. Now, this is when we're starting to get in the ones that everyone always wants. Metatron's Will. Recover action bar, being also the stone with the highest recovery action, and also increased critical rate accumulates 5 times. This is just a great stone. It allows you to hit again, and every time making you stronger and stronger. So it's really strong, especially if somewhere in there you got a thunder penetrate. You're really going to be taking advantage. Again, you're throwing this to attackers, leaders, but since it increases crit rate, it can also be given to certain strikers if you go under the assumption you don't think they're going to KO the enemy goalkeeper on the first shot. So again, this can be given to a striker too. The last and only light unique goalkeeper stone, I really wish there was another one, is going to increase max hype and critical resistance. So that's much more interesting for Scylla than K, but in no way will it compare to the Whirlwind goalkeeper stone. But it's still a pretty nice stone for a goalkeeper, and if you got Scylla or K, you don't actually have a choice. Now, Thousand Watchers, aka the Meta Stone, increase attack power when attacked becomes 70, increase reflex becomes 30. It's just a great stone when you're center mid, and when you're trying to reflex in the mid line, it's really nice. And that's the only place you should ever see that stone. It doesn't work in backline because you're not taking advantage of attack power when attacked, and it doesn't work in front line because after you've thrown the ball, you don't try to steal it back. So it's a midline stone, usually put on lines of high reflex, so meaning that they don't have counterattack resistance. So now we're going to talk about the dark stones. Those are the ones who are the lowest rated among all the stones. So the first one is going to be Encompassing Soul. So the thing is, it's not that it's a bad stone. The problem is it's the exact same thing as its previous version. The only difference is they added a few percents. So here we're going to start at 6 and 3, and when we go here we're at 9 and 9. We're just asking why. Why would you be lazy near the end? So it's very limited, and it's basically the same as a stone. So a lot of players just don't use it. Now this is an action bar and spirit recovery. Actually receiving pass effect. Again, another one very few people are going to use. The only people who really use this are going to be utility dark strikers. So again, it's a very small niche, and even some of them are usually going to try to have reflex. So there are very few players who are actually going to run this stone. I have it, and I haven't found a single person to put it on. So again, if you have this, consider yourself unlucky. Now, the two stones who do matter. Decrease inflicted damage when you have the ball, and increase attack power when attacked. So this is the second Metatron stone, and it's really good in midline again. So it just makes you resistant. People can't steal from you. You can actually throw this in front line in case you have a slow line or you're trying to stack a type of buff. It can be used in front. It doesn't make sense in back, but it's a pretty good stone all around. And then we have this one who a lot of people are divided on. It gives you dribble and counterattack resistance, so it's going to increase your damage, and the counterattack resistance is going to mean people can out-reflex you. So, for example, you're going to want to be throwing this on a Malcolm. It can be backline or midline, because you're hitting through a reflex wall, and you just don't care about the reflex anymore. You want to damage them to KO them. That's the idea behind this stone. It's also a pretty nice stone, but you got to be very careful on what kind of situation you're in to decide between these two stones, because sometimes it can be confusing which one is best. So again, if I'm going to pick my top 5 favorites of unique stones, I would say in first place, Endless Burning Matter. In second place, Pterodox Blood. In third place, the Whirlwind Goalkeeper Stone. In fourth place, Thousand Watcher, and in fifth place, Metatron's Will. So again, this is my personal opinion. Depending on your team, depending on your situation, you might not agree exactly on what I've said, and on especially the rating. I know a lot of people are going to be very defensive on that. So I just hope that this allows you to understand what these stones do and who you should be targeting when you have them. And if you want them, all you need to do is spend around 6 million, combine them up, and then just really hope it's the one you want. and not, as always, paradise of light. The damn stone we always end up getting. I mean, I've actually started selling them. That's how bad it gets. So, see you guys.